La la la, my extras coming out. Ooh. Lawnmower outside. Literally every YouTuber's curse. As soon as I decide to record, some decides to turn on their lawnmower at 5:26 p.m. I may or may not have cursed the lawnmower to temporarily stop working for the time being, but we shall see. To those of you who are new here and have never seen this face in your whole entire life, well, you've been missing out. Welcome. My name is Verica Sin. I'm a fashion designer turned mystic, and I'm here to be your sister from another Mr. Spiritual Advisor. Unicorn. I don't know. I'm just going on with these endless lists. I'm probably going to stop at some point, but I am here most importantly to empower you. What are we doing here today? Sitting on this ground of mine. I actually wanted to film a get ready with me to go nowhere because
hashtag Asian hate, hashtag panda medics, hashtag corona, beer spilled all over the world.
But that's okay. Okay, I'm gonna start getting ready with putting on contacts. So how have you guys been? I hope you have all been good and healthy, staying safe and away from weird people. But I'm weird, so what I meant is dangerous people. I don't know why every single time I start like filming, my nose runs and I sneeze like crazy. Maybe I'm allergic to you guys. I'm joking. I'm not allergic to you guys. I love you guys. Don't go, come back. I didn't mean it. Oh. Ooh. They stopped mowing the lawn. So either they finished or my intention worked. I wanted to actually update you guys on some news. First change I'm going to be making for June moving forward is that I actually want to have a set of price tiers for my tarot reading options for you guys. And the reason why I want to do that is because I know that tarot reading is not always affordable for all of us, and I feel like with tarot reading, especially when you find a reader, aka moi, for instance, if you find me and you like how I read and you like who I am as a person and you feel like I get you, I want you to be able to have access to me and get that advice and insight that you need within the price level and budget, financial budget that you can afford. And at the same time, I won't be compromising myself by overcompensating by having healthy boundaries now, so I can set for different sets of price tiers where I can meet you at that level without burning myself out. I think that was the most crucial point of why I even set my price tiers to the price they're at to begin with, because I do value my time and I do think my insights are very important and full of insight that will really will impact your life, as many of my clients who have come to me for readings have shown to me. But I do think about how a lot of you guys, sometimes you might not be fully ready for a full 1 hour long read. Like maybe that might just be too much information. Like sometimes like it's more of a detriment than it is to help someone when you give them that much advice or that much insight. So I'm going to be having some separate tier lists. The price lists that are lower price, they're smaller packages, and they are also great options for those of you guys who want to come to me for like a little quick update on your energy. Sometimes you want a little quick like is this a good decision, like yes, this path, or if I go that path, how it would be like. I want to have more flexibility and more fluidity in the way I go with my spirituality and my spiritual practices, and having it open to all of you in a way that is accessible, useful, and most importantly, empowering for all of you. Okay. So with that being said, let's move forward. I'm gonna start putting on my makeup now. and we're gonna start conversations. I'm gonna share with you guys what's been on my mind. Yeah, I think it's important to talk to you guys about it, because I would have wanted someone to talk to me about these things when I was growing up, you know. Okay, so this might be a very controversial topic or whatever it is, but for all the years, okay, of all the 34 years that I've been alive, yes, I'm 34 years old, I think it's really fucking hard to be a girl. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really think being your chosen gender, just being a human in general, is really hard. But the implications and the rules that are set for what it means to be a girl, or all the expectations on how to be a girl, is suffocating. You know, and for your feminist sisters out there, because I want to, well, if I think being a girl is hard, you know, why the fuck am I doing makeup? Why am I complying with these societal norms and standards? You know what? My relationship with makeup has transformed over the years. I got into makeup because as a kid I was told that it'll make me feel pretty, or it will make me pretty. And in some ways it did. It made me look different. I still liked how my original face looked like as a kid. I remember that. And then later on, it went from, oh, makeup will make you pretty, to makeup will make the boys like you. And then that went into makeup can help you change who you are, into the evolution of where I am now, which is makeup is an extension of my self-expression. So that's where I'm at now. And I suppose for you witches out there, in many aspects, makeup is a form of glamour magic, right? We use it to transform, enhance, bring focus into the aspects of what we want people to see, the aspects that we want to bring forth into the world, the way we want to present ourselves. I would confidently say, fall under the category of glamour magic. Tying that all in with how I find that it's really difficult to be a girl in this world, I also feel like there's no right way to be a woman. There's no right way. If we're examining things under the spectrum of what is right or wrong. But yeah, we're gonna wait for this to get tacky or half dry before I blend it, because apparently that's the best way to go about it. I grew up not really knowing how to embrace my inner femininity. In many ways, I am fairly feminine by nature, but I can't express how happy I am that it's complete silence right now. I always felt really awkward around my sexuality and my sensuality and what it meant to be a divine feminine, you know, to be in my own feminine energy. And I think a lot of that resulted in me being really awkward in my body, and really awkward with the way I composed myself and the way I held myself. And I bring that up now because, why did I bring it up now? All right. I don't even know where to begin. Let's talk about toxic femininity. I think it's dry enough now. I'm gonna try my best to explain all this. Growing up, I think, especially being a teenage girl that was into guys, I still am, but I think we were taught to kind of compete against each other or especially those of us who were paired with unhealthy female relationships in our lives. And I say that because sometimes your demographic, the demographic of where you live and where you were brought up, and the type of people you have access to really matter. Like, I think it really makes a difference, especially in the 90s, early 90s, before internet became such like an accessible thing. Like, choosing who you were friends with wasn't an easy thing. Like, sometimes it's just, you have no choice, you're just out of luck and you're just around a whole bunch of shit bags, you know. Pardon my language. But wow, that really works. Letting your concealer dry before you blend it. This is my first time doing it. So yeah, like, growing up with girls who were insecure about themselves, they would put you down, especially me. They would put me down and try to make me feel it did work. But it started off with a try, right before it became like a did. They would try to make me feel insecure about myself because they had insecurities about their own bodies, you know. And there'd be a lot of, I don't know about you guys, or if you're ever aware of this, but going shopping with girls at a young age, when you're young, like me when I was a teenager, it would be pretty toxic because we would spend hours in the shopping mall change room and staring at ourselves in the mirror, and not in the most positive light too. It'd be a lot of comparison games where, you know, I would always have that hope to have that fun fashion montage that we all do in movies, that we all see in movies, right? But instead it's like the shadow up version of it, where it's like, instead of coming out with like the same outfit and be like, oh my god, like we're wearing the same thing, besties, it's like, oh, I wore it better, look at you, your tits are flat, oh, your ass is flat, or you can't even pull that off, like that looks so weird on you. Like, it wouldn't exactly be said. To some extent, those exact statements would be said in a very passive aggressive way and to like a much more diluted version, but over time, enough of the same repeated verses, you pretty much get the full picture. Like, it paints a full picture of the spectrum of the type of implied negative derogative terms about yourself, and the way you start seeing yourself starts taking a hit. So those of you who are watching who are like in their early 20s, mid 20s, maybe even like 30s like me, and you have friends that do that to you, say goodbye to them. Please do yourself a favor and just cut them off. Like, not, maybe you don't have to ghost them, but like, you know, I don't think, you might want to start questioning the type of connections you have in your life if you have people talking and treating you that way. So I would say that's probably the beginning of toxic femininity, and I wouldn't even know how to identify it because I just thought that was part of life. Growing up, I was always compared to as well to a supposed best friend of mine, like a childhood best friend. We were just called best friends because we would like be like sharing, like, I don't know, we were like neighbors. We had our siblings date one another, our siblings versus like our family members were dating each other, so like, oh my god, best friends. But like, it became very quickly apparent that we weren't no best friends at all. Like, far from it. There was a lot of toxicity built between us because there was a lot of comparison. Like, why can't you be more smarter than this person? Why can't you be as smart as this person? Why can't you be as hardworking as this person? Well, maybe if you were more diligent, you would have nice things. You would have video games, you would have this, you would have that. And I think that kind of comparison, both even if it's well-intentioned or not, is not good because it prevents you from finding your own identity. And I think that's exactly what it did for me. Like, it made me reject myself, and it made me think that who I was and what I had to work with, like the set of tools I was given growing up, was inadequate, instead of seeing the potential and the strengths in it and playing up with that strength that I currently have, you know. I think that snowballed into the way I saw myself, and then my self-esteem. Oh, and growing up from a very conservative Asian family didn't help. Like, there's a lot of pressure on the Asian culture, especially with being a woman, to having fair skin. Maybe this has to do with white supremacy. Let's go there. Like, with the whole racial thing, like whites having a lot of influence on the idea of what beauty is like on an international scale is frighteningly big. Because growing up, I was told that having fair skin was something to be admirable about because it made you beautiful. Having pale skin made you beautiful, and having tan skin made you ugly. And don't get me wrong, I was told that if you have tan skin, you'd be more like people of color, and that was something to be shamed about. Like, I would literally have people from like people who weren't even related to me, who were like Asian, tell me, oh, if your skin is like darker, you're kind of like, you know, dark skinned people, like that's like not that attractive. They would be people who would be like, I don't know, bosses, co-workers, classmates, I don't know, just random people who weren't even anyone in my life would tell me a lot of, what's that word? Unsolicited advice that really doesn't really make a big impact in the grand scheme of my life. And all those things really do add up. And I remember even a cultural standard, we were taught as Asians, at least I was taught as an Asian, that back in the days, like literally medieval days, if you had fair skin, it implied that you were rich enough and you were, what's that word? That you were privileged enough to live in a social status or tier where you never had to lift a finger, you never had to do any labor, heavy labor, because people who do heavy labor would be in the sun, and that's why they would get tanned. So this whole skin complexion thing and being tan and not tan would tie in with your beauty and who you are as a person, and whether or not like that made you look good in society to begin with. So how does that tie in with my sensuality and sexuality? Well, so we're taught that already, okay? I was taught that already growing up. And on top of that, I remember being a mixed race. Let's not even get into that. I'm gonna go into that with another conversation with you guys. Being Asian in a Western society is very confusing because you would be raised with really conservative parents with really traditional perspectives on the world, while you were growing up in an environment that's very progressive, Western, and more expansive in the way they communicate and express themselves. An example would be growing up with MTV, BET, music videos where Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears would come out, and they'd be like, you know, that sound like Toxic, Baby One More Time, and you know, Genie in a Bottle. And the only music I would know about until I went to high school would be Chinese soap opera music or music in Vietnamese. And it would be like the type of music you would listen to like back in the day, like legit back in the day, like it would be like a harp playing and like So you can imagine me being raised in a family like that and then be like, oh my god, I see Christina Aguilera showing her belly, you know, and like having a belly piercing, and then wanting one myself, and then literally giving my parents a heart attack for saying that, or even wanted to like dye my hair blonde or like give it streaks, because that was in like chunky highlights. Those of you who are from the 90s, chunky highlights with blue or red streaks all over your hair, and you would have your own like chunky hair dye kit. Oh my god, I have that somewhere in my house. I'll show it to you guys next time. I kept some stuff from the 90s. I was so nostalgic. I'm still nostalgic about the 90s. I'll show you guys that next time in a 90s, I don't know, memorabilia video, okay? Let's do that. But yeah, like I would want a nose ring. I'd want to bleach my hair. I wanted bell bottoms, and you have no idea how hard it was for me to even convince my parents that I would wear bell bottoms, but not a crop top. Nothing that would show my belly, because they were so afraid that friends and relatives would talk shit about me, saying that they let their daughter go and that now their daughter is a slut or a hoe or a whore. Like, there's so much negative connotations when it comes to women expressing themselves in an essential or even a little sexual way. Like, oh my god, you showed your belly button, you're a slut. Like, that was the reality I grew up in. That's so suffocating. I wore this shirt because it was cold today, and also I feel like this shirt represents my current mood, and it's a Daria sweater called, and it says "Sick Sad World." Can you see it? I feel like in many ways we are in a very sick sad world, a world that really needs to understand consent, the importance of mental health and self-expression, and that it's okay to be sensual. It's okay to feel human emotions and not reject and divide ourselves from that. So yeah, that was the beginning of me repressing my sexuality, and while other girls that were non-Asian would be getting their belly button pierced and wearing the cutest halter tops and crop tops, or they would find different ways of like lying to their parents that like they would get refunds, they would get allowances. Okay, don't even get me started with allowances. So we would go to the mall and we would go shopping, and they would buy the halter tops, like the complete open back halter tops with the shoelace string ones, and then they'd be like, no, I bought a sweater instead, and then go return that and then buy the halter top, or I don't know how they would do it. They say, oh, it's a sweater, and then they would wear the actual halter top underneath a coat, and then when we would meet up as friends, then they would take off the coat and just wear the halter top. I would never do that because I was still am a very honest person, and I hate lying. I don't feel like there's a need to lie. Like, why? Like, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like shit when you lie. You know, every time you lie, it's like a part of you dies inside. I understand that there's certain, you know, situations where we have to probably lie to survive. You know, not all of us were born in very fortunate circumstances, so I understand that. But for white lies and stuff like this, I don't know. I just was never that kid, you know. I would always feel uncomfortable too, because not only that, when I start hitting the age of maybe 18, 19, when I started hitting puberty, I felt really uncomfortable because I noticed that nobody tells you, or at least for me, okay, nobody, I'm pretty confident nobody tells you this. When you hit a certain age, and at least nobody told me, when you hit a certain age and your body starts developing curves, people around you will change the way they look at you, for better or for worse. And a lot of it has to do with sexual attraction, right? So I know in feminism there's a coined term called the male gaze, you know. I don't think that's exclusive from like any other gaze, you know, just a person's gaze at you, but yeah, like I never knew how to handle that. Like, I remember like the first time in grade 4 or 6, I can't remember, when a boy classmate went from not giving two fucks about my existence to suddenly, oh, I'll give you this, I'll buy you that, da da da, all because, get this, I didn't realize until like a week later, maybe years later. I don't know. All because I was wearing a top that was showing my shoulders. It was off the shoulder, so it was seen as sensual. I was clueless at the time because I was like, why is this guy being so nice to me? Maybe he wants to be my friend. Like, I had such a naive perspective. Not that naivety is a bad thing. It's just like it never crossed my mind that there would be ulterior motives. Maybe this kid wasn't even aware, like, was thinking for him. But yeah, like, that was my first realization that, oh, I have something within myself called my sexual power, and it can influence and cause people to see me a certain way and treat me a certain way. So yeah, I don't know, I felt like for the first time in my life, reluctantly and resentfully, a whole new world opened up for me that I never asked for. I like it when people are clear with their intentions. That boy from grade whatever the fuck it was treated me differently. I had a neighbor across my house start acting funny as well. Mind you, this neighbor doesn't live here anymore, but I'll let you know, like, sometimes your inner femininity and your sensuality and your sexuality can bring out sides of people that you don't want to see. And as a 14, 16, 18-year-old girl, a lot of that happened, and I didn't know how to react or handle it. And when I would try to talk to friends about it, all that they could say would be like, oh my god, ew, really? Oh my god, that's so creepy. Oh my if I were to tell adults this, they would gaslight me and they'd be like, no, you're just thinking things up. Like, that didn't happen. Like, they would never talk like that. They would never treat you like that. But the truth was, it's because they were really uncomfortable. They didn't know how to handle the situation when a young adult comes to you and lets you know that someone's acting in a potentially very predatory kind of way. Like, I had high school teachers kind of act weird around me, but only when I was by myself. Not that I went around telling other teachers, but like, okay, my classmates did believe me, but there's nothing that they could do about it, you know what I mean? And then when the time came, I would just feel simply uncomfortable. So you can see how this all kind of added up to me clamming up as a woman. Like, don't show your sexuality, don't show your stomach, you're gonna be seen as a slut, whore. Oh look, that person looked at you, what did I say? And then all these negative things in the world and society being like, oh, you got raped, oh, that person grabbed your ass, that's because you asked for it, because you dressed like this, because you did that. But truth behold, those moments where I experienced all these things, I never dressed in any way that was outrightly inappropriate or asking for it. Like, I was just simply wearing capri pants, like khaki pants, fitted pants. Like, who doesn't wear fitted pants? I would wear, I don't know, I would just wear really basic clothes, and it would still evoke behaviors, unsolicited behaviors from different people I never consented or expected from. And I think it only made me further shrink back into my shell of my sensuality and my sexuality and embracing adulthood in many ways. For a long time, I just stayed very closeted about my sexuality and my sensuality because I didn't feel safe opening up. I would hide in a lot of baggy hoodies and big flare pants because I felt like I didn't want people to treat me differently if they saw my body. I didn't want people to be interested in me in that regard, because a part of me felt like, because so many negative things happened when people had a sexual gaze upon me, that they weren't being their true selves. So I already had a very unhealthy start to understanding sensuality and my sexual empowerment, right? And so like anytime I viewed people, or anytime I thought of people seeing me as like a sex object, maybe not a sex object, I don't want people to see me as a sex, I mean, I don't care if they do, I don't care anymore anyways, but at the time I would have been like, I thought people who saw me in that way weren't being their true selves, or like I was bringing out a side of them that was really ugly, disgusting, or creepy, or violating, and I wanted them to be their true selves, which was, I don't know, the nice self, you know, the unpervy, not trying to slide in your DM self. No fuckboy mode turn on, you know, no fuckboy mode activated. And at the same time, I would, if the shadow side came out, because I was so repressed, I also became envious of women who were very expressive about who they were and unapologetic in their sensuality, like crop top. They would wear bold lipstick, they had piercings and tattoos, they wore a mini skirt, they might have wanted to, you know what I mean? And they gave no shits who looked at them the whatever way. They were empowered, you know. That inspired me. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be, and I think that's also why a large part of how I got into drag queens, like why I love drag queens, why I admire the LGBT community so much, and people who are so expressive about who they are and unapologetic of who they are, because they really seriously give no f***s, because they learned and came to a decision where they learned to value. I felt like they came to a point where they decided to value their own opinions about themselves more than anyone else in the world, and that was the beginning of my journey of discovering what personal empowerment really meant. I felt like I was tired of being suffocated. I'm tired of trying to do the right thing, the supposed right thing, like what it meant to be a good girl, what it meant to be a good daughter, a good standing person in society. And a friend showed me a movie called Yes God Yes, and it was one of the biggest realizations and example, especially a reminder to me that no matter how strong someone's opinion about how you should live your life is, it doesn't guarantee that they follow their own advice. There are a lot of people who they push their opinions onto you because it's what they were told as well growing up, and to the outside world that is the image that they like to hold up, while behind closed doors we don't know what the fuck they do. Like, we know what the fuck they want, but they say it because it makes them look better. That's the ulterior motive. There's a lot of people who would tell me what I should do or how I should behave that would make me less slutty, or so people don't think I'm a slut or a whore, and all these toxic feminine labels. But I would see them contradict their behaviors, and they would do things that were exactly the opposite, and I would catch them sometimes. Like, I would see them when they don't think that they were in an outing where I would see them, or I would catch them in conversations, or literally, like, they would go and dress a certain way after they tell me I shouldn't do something. And I don't think people even realize how much of a hypocrite they are, you know? I guess what I'm trying to say is, you should take people's opinion with a grain of salt, especially if they aren't living the life you want, because what they were trying to tell me to do, it was a right, supposed right thing, wasn't something that spoke to me. I just listened to them out of fear. I was very fear-driven growing up, actually. Very fear-driven, because I didn't want to upset anyone. I don't know, fall under the off the good graces of the people I grew up with and the people that loved me so much. It's just a certain approval, like this is codependency, or I don't know, bond. I don't even know if it's codependent because it didn't start off that way, you know, like you have friends and family who love you and then you grew up with them, so you want to do right by them, you know. I guess there's a sense of loyalty that I have. And then after a certain age, no matter what, you're gonna have to listen to yourself, because sometimes people's behavior and their ulterior motives, their shadow sides, and they have their own reasons, you know. Sometimes people change too, and that's something that I had to come to embrace. Sometimes people change, and they could go from being a good friend to a not good friend. That could happen anytime within a span of a few months, a few weeks, a few years, a decade. People change, and that's something we have to embrace. And sometimes people change for the worse, because instead of supporting you, they can become jealous of you. And I think how we can navigate that is we have to often step back and reassess if how people are treating us and what they're encouraging us to do is helping us towards the path that we really want to be on. And sometimes the things that we want to do and they don't want to see us grow because they're not ready to grow themselves, they might try to discourage you, like I've been, and they'll tell me it's not as easy as I think it is, which comes back to the whole part of don't take advice from someone who hasn't lived the life, who isn't living the life, and who isn't heading towards the direction that you want. And even then, sometimes even if they are heading in the direction that you want, they might not give you the advice that would be good for you, because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes not everyone is out there to help you. Not everyone cares to help, you know. Everyone comes into this world with different morals and values and intentions, and I think it's important for you to discern, especially like how I had to discern when friends were being questionable. This ties into a video that I actually made. I filmed about a month ago, but I never got around to editing because I got sick and burnt out, so I took a break, about why I decided to create an OnlyFans. I want to say that I'm so glad that I'm filming when the sun is up. My sleep schedule's always fluctuating and it sucks, you know. And so sometimes I wake up and it's like sundown, but I still gotta live my life, you know. I still gotta do things. I still will record, but and get work done. But something really nice about being when the sun's up, you know. I would like to have more days like this and more film days like this too. I actually skipped my milk tea the night before, so I think that was a really large part of the factor that helped me fall asleep easier. Because when I drink caffeine and when I have coffee or milk tea, caffeine of any kind, I stay up for like a good solid 6 to 8 hours. Like, I'm not tired at all. But yeah, I hope you guys liked that OnlyFans video. It was meant to be silly and, you know, scratching the surface, but after I filmed it, I realized that I probably owe you guys a deeper explanation. Not owe you, I don't owe you guys shit. Okay, I love you guys, okay? I'm just my Queen of Swords energy is so out there sometimes. I just want to share, okay? One of you guys out there that needs to hear this, I want you to hear it, okay? I want you to hear that it's okay. So I made this video because I wanted to elaborate more onto, you know, I'm not just making an OnlyFans because it's the hype or something. I saw that as the perfect gateway for me to be like, you know what? I'm gonna take the reins of sexuality and sensuality and my personal empowerment and my sexual power, and I'm gonna make it my bitch. Like, I'm tired of worried about people being fake or becoming fuckboys, or the quote-unquote ugly or shadow side of them come out because I'm supposedly very seductive and attractive in their eyes. Like, the conclusion I've come to now is that that's part of them. It's not a fake side of them. It's not an unwanted side of them. That side exists in all of us, and there's no avoiding it. So I need to be me no matter what comes up from other people. There's nothing I can do. Just the biggest lesson for me was there's no amount of self-repression that I can give to myself and make myself undergo to make someone else more comfortable or have them give into temptation less or whatever it is, you know. Like, I'm just saying there's no amount of me controlling my circumstances that would hinder someone else's side. Like, there's always gonna be something that someone's gonna do somewhere. I could be breathing and I'm triggering someone, you know what I mean? Like, seriously. And I can't live my entire life like that. Like, I can't live my whole life in fear and shame and guilt, thinking, am I holding enough? Am I being considerate enough? Am I being reserved enough? Just so I won't see a unwanted side of someone. I realize that there's no amount of being considerate enough and auditing myself for someone to be more comfortable or treat me better. Like, no matter what I do, if someone's gonna treat me horribly, they're gonna treat me horribly regardless. Like, because it's already within them. It's within their capacity and part of their identity, at least for that time frame of being. That's who they are. And it was a side I wasn't ready to face, and I was in many ways in denial and gaslighting them and denying them of who they were. I didn't want to see that side, and so I tried my best to filter sides I didn't want to see of other people based on how my sensuality and my sexual empowerment made them feel. So that's why I felt like creating an OnlyFans to explore what sexuality meant to me and what sexuality can mean and how sexuality could be different than what society has taught us growing up can be instead. So that's why I'm so passionate about this. And it's not, you know, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with sex workers. I think it's amazing what they're doing. Like, sometimes it's all they have, you know, and it's not bad. We have bodies, you know, and they're just celebrating in a way that's different than what we can perceive, and that's okay. I think that I've stepped into a very empowering time in my life, and in many ways I'm sad that it took so long to realize this. But I'm glad I realized that now. That's what matters, okay? I didn't mean for this to be a very emotional get ready with me, but it's big. Like, no one tells you about these things, you know, the awkward stares you get when you grow up. What to do when someone talks in a way that makes you uncomfortable, because if you talk about it, somehow you'll be in the wrong. You know, that's what it's like sometimes growing up as a girl. You get your feelings and your the validity of your thoughts and feelings brushed under the rug because you're seen as sensitive or overthinking things or seeing things that don't exist, when in fact there's a lot of going on, and there's a lot of people who talk a lot of shit and they take that to their advantage. They know that people just brush it off, so they know that can be under the radar, so they do it. There's a lot of manipulative out there. So it's good that I'm really glad I was able to get this out off my chest, out of my system, into the universe, into your ear holes, for you guys to process and be like, yes, beach. Okay, let me lay on a little bit more shadow. I just realized the colors I'm choosing today are the root and sacral chakra. Orange and red with a little bit yellow, so it's like do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Yeah, I do kind of want to be extra and glittery today. Extra and glittery. Extra and glittery. Because I can. I mean, to those of you who don't feel the need to wear skirts or anything and show your skin, you do you, boo. I'm just sharing with you my personal experiences on where I've come from and how I see things, and how it's been so freeing and empowering for me to go down this journey of exploring what it means to be a woman and what it means to be a feminine energy, what it means to be a female, divine feminine, you know, to those of you who consider yourselves trans and trans female, like that is okay too, that's cool too, you know, I support that as well. And if you want to explore, I'm here for you, honey, you know. I feel like the world is still very hesitant to talk about sexuality, yet that's how we all exist in the first place. Like, that's how we were born, that's how we created. The beginning of creation starts with sensuality and sexuality and desire. So it's like the one place that creates existence, the one place that brings beauty and life onto this planet Earth is the one thing that is so shunned upon. Isn't that kind of ironic? I had a lot of friends who stopped being my friend because I didn't like them back. Or they stopped liking me because the person they liked me instead. And it was what made me repress myself so much, you know. I was so sorry, I was so apologetic for having this aspect. I just wanted to go back to when I was younger, where I could just talk to any person and they would just be kind to me, you know, where supposed parental figures would be kind to you and not turn into weird predators, you know. I'm gonna be creating some content for OnlyFans tonight, where I want to be getting into conversation about sacred sexuality and exploring what that means through spirit. And I want to dive deeper on what that could mean for all of us who are subscribed to me. And if you haven't already and you want to, are you welcome to? The link will be in the description box down below. I leave it at the price that I do because I truly believe what I'm doing is very important and valuable, and as I keep creating and adding more content onto my OnlyFans channel, the value is only going to increase. And so for now it might seem to some of you guys not justifiable that I kept it or I have it at this price, but by the time like the year goes on, I'm pretty much gonna have enough content. It's gonna be like an entire masterclass in there of sacred sexuality and personal empowerment and healing your sexual trauma, that $15 a month is probably not enough. It's like you can have like whole months worth of access and you probably might not even finish all the content I have there, right? So it's literally going to be like an exclusive access to a library of information where I share a lot of important spiritual knowledge and growth and new perspectives on what sex, sensuality, and sexuality really means, and how where we can go from here, you know, defying the current understanding of what we know about sexuality, because it's very limited right now. We only know a few forms of sexuality and how to express it. There's so many different ways to express ourselves through this. I just feel like I've only just begun to tap the surface, you know. I want to, for the first time in my life, find my own voice on what sexuality and sensuality means to me, and develop my own relationship with that topic, and not be influenced, although I can take inspirations from and education and knowledge from society. Like, I don't want to be following the rest of the, I don't know, herd, so to speak, on what sex is and what porn looks like and what sensuality is. Like, I want to redefine all of that, and I want to explore that with you guys. So if you guys are willing to have me, you guys are more than welcome, arms wide open, to join OnlyFans and come empower yourself as well, okay? You guys let me know if you enjoy these kind of videos. I mean, I really feel drawn to make these kinds and not just stick to pick a card readings all the time, although I do see significance and importance in pick a cards. I also feel like having these kind of talks are just as valuable, you know? So I hope you guys are enjoying it out. Like, I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I do making it. I'm really excited for this new chapter, and that was like a large part of my conflict too. Like, the other half of my conflict, now that I remember, is that people I dated would have qualms with how I wanted to dress, and they would criticize me and say that it would be very like hoochie or slutty. That was like the biggest word, slutty. And when I look back on it, I think a lot of them were just afraid of losing me, or like afraid of what I would do if I become empowered. I know that's like a very bold statement to say, because why I say that is because these same people that would tell me like not to dress a certain way because it would upset them would stare at girls who dressed exactly the same way that they didn't want me to dress. I'm pretty sure you guys as women who date men have more than had your fair share of that experience, where it's like, oh yeah, because my guy wants me to be a good girl, but yeah, but they send those bad bitches, you know? Because there's a part of them that desires for that too. Like, why the f do we gotta comply for someone's lack of insecurities? Oh, yeah, I went there. And no, I'm not sorry. Because I've been sorry for too long. And for what reason? It never equated to anything. The relationship was never healthy. It just starts off with that. You know what I mean? It starts off with a compromise, a single compromise. And then it goes into full control. That's also the beginning of a red flag. You know, you think you're doing it because you love them and that you don't want them to feel like unhappy. You want them to love you and not think less of you. Goes back to that whole like codependency thing again. But then you sacrifice so much of yourself that in the end, what they don't like, they're gonna leave you anyway. They get tired with you, and then next you know, they're gonna go around with the same baddie bitches that they told you not to be. You know, they take away your power. They make you feel like you won't be enough if you do that. They won't love you. They'll hold it against you. They won't accept you and love you if you become a certain way. But truth be told, that part of you was always there. But you held it back because someone might leave you, ultimatum maybe, if you unleash that side of yourself. But ironically, the same type of girl that they don't want you to be, the same type of girl they leave you for, or they cheat on you for. So what I'm trying to say for all this, just do you, boo-boo. Because in the end, that's wasted time that you can't express yourself. Just for the sake of someone else to feel comfortable around you. That's 1 minute. That's one less minute of your time that you can never get back for yourself. You know? I don't think I'd be as irritated if people weren't such hypocrites. But people do tell you a lot of things for their benefit, for their ulterior motives. And if you're honest and wishful thinking like me, or was like how I used to be, then they know to take advantage of you for that very same reason. So that's why it's very important that every time you do something that you like and someone tries to get in your way, really stop and think, how does that benefit them? How does it benefit you? Or puts you at a disadvantage to listen to their advice? Not everyone's gonna say it to manipulate you and like control you, you know, like relationships have a tendency to. Sometimes they might, because they don't want you to grow. They want to hold you back, because it's not necessarily a conscious thing. It might not be something they even want to face within themselves, hence shadow work, right? But it definitely is there, and it is real. Sometimes they might do it because they think it's best for you, because they're afraid for you, because they are afraid themselves. They live in a life of shame, guilt, and resentment. So, once again, are they living a life you want? Are they heading in a direction where you want to go? If no, do you, boo-boo? So yeah, instead of feeling disempowered, ashamed of my sexuality and my sensuality, that I may be attracting unwanted attention from those people who I felt like I have let down in a way, like they don't treat me the same anymore because I provoked to them a side of themselves that already exists, you know, like they were kind to me and respectful to me and honorable to me until they weren't, because I revealed that I have something called sensuality, you know. And instead of feeling disempowered from that and feeling like, oh my god, like the world is closing in on me and no one around me is going to be kind to me because I have this thing called sensuality, I'm seeing it as a place of empowerment now. It's my radar. It's my radar to see who's face, who's an asshole, who's a dick, you know, who's only here because they think they can slide in my DMs. I use it as a ward now. I use it as a protection. Whatever desires are already within someone and whatever is within their capability and their potential, I bring it all to the surface. How? By unapologetically being myself in the entirety of who I am. And there are people who think they're fucking smart because they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I gotta play off cool because then, like, you know, I'm gonna lose my chances. I gotta play that nice guy. I gotta play that gentleman. I gotta play whatever thing, right? Nah, bitch, you forgot. Your girl woke as fuck. One in my third eye here. You forgot. Your girl woke as fuck. I can see your fucking boner, your spiritual, energetic boner, 10,000 miles away. That ain't working. Oh, and to those of you who don't have that ability, it's okay. I got you, boo. I got you. That's why your spiritual sister from another mister is here. I'm here for a reason. I got a black magic woman. I got a black magic woman. I got a black magic woman. Need you so bad. Put your spell on me, baby. Put your spell on me, baby. Do, 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 do. I'm gonna catch the golden hours and take some photos. You could see those on Instagram when the time comes. I'm working on creating more content in general. There we go. It's okay, I like it. Alright, I'm gonna go straighten my hair now. I actually forgot to mention some things, and now I forgot. So I'm gonna keep the camera on while I straighten my hair in case it comes back to me. I mean, there's still times where I would be still mindful of when I would exert my sexual power, so to speak, or my sensuality. Mostly because I don't feel comfortable in those situations, or I don't feel like it's appropriate. Like, example, if we're going to like a family outing, I'm not going to intentionally like wear a super mini skirt, wear belly top with piercings. Like, I'm still going to be modest in those regards because I know it's like family. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of weird, especially with how like uncomfortable they get, you know. But even if it makes them uncomfortable, like, it's like a certain, I don't know, like mindfulness I have about that. And like, I think if the way you start dressing or being more of yourself, like, people get uncomfortable or they start being mean to you because maybe it makes them uncomfortable or it provokes insecurities out from themselves that they already have, and it makes them feel threatened with their relationships, you know, aka like maybe they're afraid that like your man is gonna go after, or their man's gonna go after you or something. Like, that's something that they need to work on. I felt that way before. Like, I'm not even gonna front about it. Like, I had friends that were like, they would dress a certain way, and then the relationship I had wasn't healthy either, to be honest. The guys I dated weren't healthy either. They'd be like, they wanted me to like not dress a certain way, but then like when my girlfriends would arrive and they dressed that specific way that the guy didn't want me to dress, they're like acting like some ass kisser to my girlfriend, you know. Those things, like, you just gotta discern for yourself. I think learning to spot where toxic femininity is, you know, toxic, how we're like being toxic towards one another as sisters. I think it's important to identify that and spot that and see how we can do better and be better towards one another. I think like at the end of the day, we owe it to ourselves that we lived our life in the most fulfilling way, and the most fulfilling way we could. You know, we only have one life, this lifetime, as who we are. Like, there's only ever one of me, ever, within this whole lifetime. There's never going to be another me again, and I need to celebrate that. And I can't wait, and I can't hold back, and I can't be less of myself because it makes someone else uncomfortable. Am I gonna live my whole life just to avoid making other people uncomfortable? You know, the whole world needs healing, and it starts with you healing yourself first. You know, I have to heal myself first. I have to give myself that permission to be me unapologetically. So here's to me being more of myself, and here's to you being more of yourself as well. If you feel inclined to, and you feel like this conversation spoke to you and that you relate with me, join me in empowering yourself and exploring more of yourself. When the lockdown opens up, you know, and the world is in a healthier state and there's not much risk going out anymore, I want to go and get my nose pierced, like a septum piercing right here. I'm gonna get my septum pierced and go from there. I know I always wanted a tattoo, but I don't know what kind or where. But these are things I've thought about for a long time. The tattoo is mostly because I didn't know what I want, and I know it's a commitment. But the septum piercing was something I always wanted, and I stopped myself from it because people around me and my parents were like, "Oh my god, you're gonna look like a cow." What's wrong with a cow, beach? What do cows ever do to you? Cows are like better than humankind by like a million. I'd rather be like a cow than anything else. Don't even get me started, okay? Don't even hate on cows. You eat them and you need milk from them. Like, be grateful to cows. Man, stupid. Oh yeah, I remember now. Oh my god, I'm so happy I remember now. Okay, so I found that when I started exploring my sexuality and my sensuality and sexuality as a whole, and using OnlyFans as this gateway to explore with you guys, I realized how much we are surrounded by that. And I know, like, paparazzi and marketing, they always say sex sells, sex sells. Well, yeah, no f***ing duh, because it's part of who we are. It speaks to us, right? It speaks to us. We get it because we all have that. But at the same time, all the people who are ever successful express themselves unapologetically. Think about it. Madonna, right? Madonna, she expressed herself unapologetically. Doja Cat, you know, Megan Thee Stallion, Ash Nico. There's so many artists, young and like really legacy tier artists from like way back when. Madonna, well, I said Madonna, right? Mariah Carey, that's what I was thinking. They all expressed different facets of who they were unapologetically. Not just their sexuality, but their emotions, their frustrations, their anger. Like, they have so much to them, and they embrace it all unapologetically. They sing about it, they dance about it. They express those spectrums of who they are as human outwardly, without any form of shame, you know? And I know that some people are like, well, it's part of their job, but they're so successful. Why? Because we believe in them. They are helping us live a part of our truth that many of us are afraid to live. We're vicariously living through these people who don't hold themselves back and are not afraid to express themselves. They are living this full spectrum of who they're meant to be this lifetime. They're expressing their sensuality and their sexuality with the body that they're given this lifetime, with the person and identity and who they are, what they represent this lifetime. There will never be another them. There'll never be another Michael Jackson. There'll never be another Madonna. And that's what makes them so special. That's what makes us so special. That's what makes you so special. That's what makes me so special, right? And sensuality and sexuality is not just something that we think about when we go I don't know, fap or something. Like, it's just part of who we are. It's part of our expression. It's part of our identity. And realizing that when I started going down this path, I realized, wow, like how one facet of my life I've been holding back and repressing for so long. And sexuality and sensuality is tied with creativity, right? And creativity has everything to do with our self-expression. And if we hold back our self-expression, we're not really truly living. We're not really truly being ourselves either. We're kind of constipated, you know, doing everything because it's either right or wrong. We're not doing it because it's part of who we are. I'm not saying go kill someone. I'm not saying like go sleep with 10,000 people. But I mean, if you like that, go ahead, I guess. Just practice safe sex. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think there's anything wrong. And I think there's everything right with wanting to live your life to the fullest. You owe it. You owe it to the universe. You owe it to life. You owe it to God. God is everything that has brought you here this lifetime to be fully stepping into who you are and everything you're meant to be. Okay, so that's my look for today. I hope you liked it. I certainly felt like this was a very wonderful chat, and I'm very pleased with this look I've come with. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts about this conversation, and if you have any stories to share with me, I would absolutely love to read about it, and I will respond to every one of your comments. And if you have any suggestions for things that you want me to talk about in the future, I would absolutely love to address them and take into consideration what more stuff we could talk about, because I think it's really important that we form a community where we could be there for one another, you know? So until then, I will see you guys all in the next video. And if you want to see how this makeup and the shoot turns out, come visit my Instagram, okay? Everything is in the description box below. If you want to check out my new tarot reading prices, they're going to be available this coming June. All the information, my link is down below. No one else, okay? If anyone ever DMs you, slides in your DMs, messages you, emails you, phone calls you, WhatsApp you, it's not me, okay? The only way you get my services is if you visit my website and you literally legit order a reading from me, okay? But until then, I'll see you. I love you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye. My extra's coming out. Ooh. You want a hair scarf like me? Grow yours today. Oh, and for that one person that left that really awesome and sweet comment,